Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UGS Defiance, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she gazed out at the largest fleet in galactic history. 3,000 ships from 47 different species stretched across the void, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. It was a sight that would have been impossible to imagine 50 years ago, when humanity first reached beyond their small blue planet. The holographic display beside her showed the tactical situation. The Void Hunter's massive dreadnought. Death's embrace lurked at the edge of the Kepler system, its biomechanical tendrils already consuming the outer planets. The ancient enemy had returned after a 1,000-year slumber, and this time, they brought an armada that dwarfed anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Admiral," came the melodic voice of Commander Zixathari, her crystalline second-in-command. The being's translucent form shimmered with nervous energy. "The Void Hunters are beginning their advance. Estimated time to engagement: 4 hours. Chen nodded, remembering the first time she'd met a crystalline. Back then, they had been among the most vocal opponents of human inclusion in the Galactic Council. "Humans are too violent," they had said, "too unpredictable. They don't belong among the civilized races of the galaxy." How times had changed. The communication array crackled to life, and the familiar gravelly voice of Fleet Commander Thokar filled the bridge. The massive Kragnarian's image materialized in the hologram, his forearms crossed in the traditional salute. "Admiral Chen, the 3rd Battle Group stands ready. My warriors are honored to fight under human command." "Thank you, Commander," Chen replied, suppressing a smile. The Kragnarians had once called humans soft mammals unfit for the warrior's path. That was before the siege of Proxima, where Captain Marcus Rodriguez had held a space station against impossible odds for 3 months, buying time for civilian evacuations. The Kragnarians had watched in amazement as human Marines, outnumbered 50 to 1, refused to yield ground. Similar reports came in from across the fleet. The ethereal minds of Vega, who had dismissed humans as lacking proper cerebral capacity, now served as the fleet's strategic advisors after witnessing human tactical innovations during the Rim Wars. The proud aquatic Dominion, who had once sneered that land dwellers could never master the 3-dimensional nature of space combat, now eagerly served under human naval doctrine. Chen walked to the tactical station, where Lieutenant Commander Elena Vasquez was coordinating with the alien fleet commanders. "Status report, Elena." "All battle groups report ready, Admiral. The Ethereals have calculated a 23.7% chance of victory using conventional tactics." Vasquez paused, then grinned. "They're still trying to figure out the human variable in their equations." That was the thing about humans, Chen reflected. They were impossible to quantify. When the galaxy's greatest minds calculated probable outcomes, they always seemed to miss that spark of stubborn determination that made humans refuse to accept defeat. The first contact with alien species had been humbling. Humanity discovered they were neither the strongest nor the smartest, nor the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. The ethereal minds could process information at speeds that made supercomputers look like pocket calculators. The Kragnarians could tear through starship hulls with their bare hands. The crystallines could manipulate matter at the molecular level. But humans had something else. "Admiral," reported Ensign Kim from the communications station, "we're receiving a transmission from the Void Hunter dreadnought." The holographic display shifted to show a writhing mass of darkness punctuated by malevolent red lights. When it spoke, its voice was like the screaming of dying stars. "Pitiful galaxy spawn. We have consumed 1,000 worlds in 1,000 systems. Your fleets will feed our hunger as countless others have before. Surrender now and your deaths will be swift." Before Chen could respond, another voice cut through the communication. Gruff, irreverent, and distinctly human. "Yeah. Well, you can take your hunger and stuff it," came the voice of Captain Jake Mad Dog Morrison from his retrofitted fighter wing. "We've got something for you to chew on right here." The alien commanders on the bridge turned to stare at Chen, some in shock, others in what might have been admiration. The Void Hunter's response was a shriek of rage that made the hull vibrate. Chen smiled. This was why humans led the galaxy now. Not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because when faced with cosmic horror, their first instinct wasn't to calculate odds or contemplate philosophical implications. It was to flip it off and start shooting. All ships, Chen announced over the fleet-wide communication channel. Prepare for battle. Today we don't just fight for our worlds. We fight for every species that called us unworthy. We fight for every race that said we didn't belong out here among the stars. The response from 3,000 ships was immediate and overwhelming. War cries in 47 different languages filled the communications array, but underneath them all was something that had become universal: the defiant, unbreakable human spirit. Today, Chen continued, her voice carrying across the void to every ship in the greatest armada in galactic history, we show them why humans don't just belong in the stars, we were born to lead them. The fleet surged forward as one, human determination lighting the way through the darkness of space. Behind them, Earth's children had inherited the galaxy. Ahead lay the enemy that would learn what the aliens had discovered over 50 years of warfare. Never bet against humanity. The stars themselves seemed to burn brighter as the Armada advanced, ready to prove once again that humans didn't just belong in the galaxy. They were its greatest hope.